So last weekend we had the UFC fight night, Moreno versus Kavanaaugh, and what a great fight from a young and talented prospect. And I want to break down this performance, but before I get into that, let me quickly explain what this video is about. So in today's video, I want to discuss what's next for each contender in the flyweight division. I want to discuss this performance that Loner Kavanaaugh had, and I even want to discuss the future outcomes and timelines for the UFC flyweight division. So, if that sounds like something you would enjoy, don't forget to smack the shit out of the like and subscribe button and my anus, and let's get into it. So for a long time now, the flyweight division has been pretty meh. Yes, they are probably the most talented fighters in the UFC. Yes, they probably have the most speed, athleticism, and fight IQ out of any division in the UFC. But really, none of that matters. None of that matters because no one cares if you don't have knockout power. No one wants to watch tippy-tappy MMA fighters in the UFC. We want knockouts and we don't want fainting at range. And we also don't want to watch our favorite fighters be held down for 5 rounds. Oh, fuck JDM. What people want is knockout power. Even if it's sloppy, someone being knocked out is easy to understand. And so because of that, this division has been at a stalemate for a long time. At the top of the division, we've constantly had the likes of Pantoja, Moreno, Royval, and all of them have had close fights with each other. Now, yes, Pantoja has reigned supreme, but really there's been no contenders coming through with insane power and insane knockouts. It's always been a division where it's so exciting to see these guys move so fast and to see the athleticism on display, but it's never really been a division that's captured the fan base. And as I said, that's due to the knockouts, even at the higher echelon. And so as I said, this left the UFC flyweight division in a bit of a stalemate. The division itself has been stale for a long time. Similar to how when you leave a bag of crisps or chips out on the bench, you put your hand in and you eat them. You're disappointed because they're stale, but you're disappointed in your decision to consume them. And that's like consuming a flyweight fight. But last year, this all changed. There has now been a different level of MMA in the UFC flyweight division and in the whole organization as a whole. We have fighters like Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira, and even fighters like Kyoichi Horiguchi. And yes, he's an old guy, but still, he's come back with explosive knockout power. It's like the flyweights have figured out that no one wants to watch if there's no potential knockout on the line. And as I said, with fighters like Joshua Van coming in, stepping up on short notice to fight someone like Royval, and then proceeding to have an extremely technical and competitive fight where he comes up big in the final rounds. And not only this, he also had multiple fights throughout the year of similar quality. So not only did he step up on short notice to fight one of the best fighters in the world, throughout the year he also carried extremely dangerous striking with him. These are the fighters that are bringing the flyweight division back to life. But before I go off on another glazing tangent of Joshua Van, we have to talk about how the flyweight division refuses to die. As I said, we had this recent rebirth where we had all these amazing fighters coming through the ranks. We had Van beat Royval, and then he went on to fight Pantoja for the championship. An extremely exciting matchup where no one thought Van would win. And although he won by probably the worst way you can win a title, the flyweight division still refused to be crap. Fighters like Horiguchi came back and schooled their opponents. Even Cap come through and fought for once. He came back and beat Royval in an even more decisive way than Van did, by knockout. And then in the same time period, Tatsuro Taira came through with a masterclass performance and submitted Amir Albazi. And can we just say, the flyweight division has never been so hype. Not since I started watching the UFC anyway.
This guy's obviously a casual. He never watched Mighty Mouse.
No, I didn't. I just started watching 7 years ago. And since then, the flyweight division has been shit. But now it's not. And in the meanwhile, while all this has been happening, we have someone like Loner Kavanaaugh coming through. Someone who's extremely powerful, fast, and had a suspect gas tank. Someone who was so talented that only the future champion destroyer himself could beat him. Charles Johnson's kind of like a magic 8-ball. You rub his head, see who he knocks out next, and boom, you have your next flyweight champion. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about those knockouts. Now, as you guys know, Loney himself just took a short notice fight against Brandon Moreno, in which he performed amazingly, especially since he just come off a knockout loss. And beating Moreno is no joke. Yes, he's a little bit older, but this is someone who's beaten the likes of Kai Kara-France, Steve Erceg, Figueiredo. And what did we see last weekend? We saw an amazing, calculated young prospect, someone who was confident and not bothered by the recent loss, someone who had a newfound pace and learnt not to rush, even when he had someone hurt, and someone who still held that explosivity and power late into the 5th round. So can we say it or what? Can I say it out loud? The flyweight division is so back, baby. This is what we needed for the division. Competition, power, athleticism, and new people coming through the ranks. No more Kai Kara-France. No more Brandon Moreno. No more Royval. The new generation of MMA is here, and they're already dominating at such a young age. And now we need to plan what's next for this division. And to do this, I need to list out the key players inside of the top 10. So the next fight up is obviously Tyra and Van for the championship belt, 2 of the youngest fighters in the division, a boxer with great takedown defense, 5-round cardio, and extreme confidence coming into this fight. Now he's going to be versing a talented, dominant grappler, someone who's no slouch on the feet either, someone with back-taking abilities that rival Charles Oliveira. God, I hope Charles wins this weekend. This is a banger fight that everyone wants to see until we wait for Pantoja to come back for his well-deserved rematch. God, they better give him that rematch. And as I said, the winner should fight Pantoja. The winner of this fight definitely fights Pantoja, or the UFC is going to have some very upset people. People are going to have signs. People are going to have stakes burning with fire. We want Pantoja. When do we want him? Now. I hope Charles Oliveira doesn't lose this weekend. Please, JDM, don't be slapped by Prates. You know, chants like this. Tyra is versing Van. The winner of that fights Pantoja. That's sorted. Now, if Tyra does win and Pantoja's not fully healed, or the UFC just wants to shill to Japan, I can see them doing a Horiguchi versus Tyra. Now, that would be a banger fight, which I would want to go to Japan for, because who doesn't want to go to a UFC Japan card? But it's not the right thing to do in the division. Does that mean the UFC won't do it? No, the UFC will do whatever makes the most fucking money, but they shouldn't do it. Right? Who else do we have waiting in the back rooms? We have Manel Kape with his big giant nipple. You know, he could potentially fight Pantoja as they have history, but this is if they do Pantoja really dirty and don't give him a title fight. As I said, it's possible. Now, other than that, I think Kape versus Horiguchi would be a great fight. I think those two have history from memory. And other than that, they recently fought very close to each other, so their timelines probably meet up. You know, in terms of fight dates. Given that neither of them have injuries, those two can probably fight ASAP. So if Manel Kape isn't injured and actually turns up to a fight, we could have Horiguchi versus Kape. We could have the winner of those two fighting the loser of Van versus Tyra. Or if it's further down the line, we could even do the loser of Pantoja versus whoever the champion will be. Now, Royval, I'm hoping moves up because there's nothing left for him in this division. Or we could do him versus Horiguchi. That would be a fun fight. Really, I feel like Royval is big and could move up. And I feel like that lighter man skill would carry over. And there's a lot of fresh matchups for him. Because other than that, no one wants to see the Moreno-Royval rematch for the 50th time. No one. And what else is there? Other than that, who cares? Woo! I mean, maybe you could do Erceg and Johnson. That would be a banger fight. That way, Erceg could get slimed out, and then he could be a future champion also. See, flyweight division's back, baby. And with this, we have a new generation of MMA fighters at flyweight, people who are well-rounded, people who have 5-round cardio, and people who have the ability to either submit or knock out their opponent. It's safe to say that the division is now exciting again. There's plenty of matchups to do. It just depends on which way the UFC wants to go and who's injured and who's going to pull out of their fights. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. Now, quickly again, I just want to give props to Loney Kavanaaugh. You know, I was sitting there at the airport waiting for my flight and I was watching his fight and I thought he would be way more nervous than he was. Young age, coming off a knockout loss, short notice opponent, fighting against Brandon Moreno in Mexico at elevation. So the crowd's against you. The altitude's against you, your cardio was supposed to be suspect, and you're fighting a fighter who's been around in the division for a long time. To go up against all of these things, someone who has a great high guard, someone who has good footwork, pace, cardio, and still come out the other end, wobbling him, almost knocking him out, and then winning what? 4 out of 5 rounds, all whilst pacing yourself and delivering extreme power. And I've seen people online like,
Oh, Moreno was never that good. Kavanagh's not even that good.
if he had finished him, everyone would be saying something different. But I don't know. That's just the MMA fan base for you. Now, guys, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you thought of the Loney Kavanagh fight. Let me know what you think of the flyweight division. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This is a different style of video that I'm testing. I've got my story time MMA videos, which is going to be more research, a longer video, more of a storytelling video where I go deep dive on a fighter. I want to have more videos like this where I could talk about UFC fights, I can talk about UFC styles, and just have it be more of me talking to you guys, my impressions of the fights, the fighters, and what I think about up and coming events. Videos that I can really just churn out faster. So guys, let me know what you think. If you're new here, don't forget to slap the shit out of the like and subscribe button. Click this video here or here, whichever side I put it on. And Charles Oliveira, please don't get knocked out this weekend. I love you.